That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about The Almond and the Seahorse. It's the directorial debut of Celyn Jones and Tom Stern, which is being released courtesy of IFC Films on December 16th, 2022. It premiered at the Zurich Film Festival.
It's Celyn and Tom.
Celyn Jones is an actor-writer. He has previously written Set Fire to the Stars, starring Elijah Wood, and 6 Minutes to Midnight, which we reviewed, starring Eddie Izzard.
I did like 6 Minutes to Midnight.
I did as well, so you can see how maybe this came together in the background, but...
you were saying Eddie Izzard.
Eddie Izzard executive produced this film as well. Tom Stern is an Oscar-nominated cinematographer. He also shot this film. Mr. Stern notably shot several Clint Eastwood titles, including Changeling, for which he received his nomination.
Well, I'm sorry, gentlemen. I did not care for this movie. I think it's going to be on my worst of 2022 list.
It was pretty bad. I mean, the title is one of those titles that's a little bit jarring, but I could work with this. Like, it reminded me off the top of my head of like Noah Baumbach's Squid and the Whale. But it is an emotional void of a film.
There wasn't a single thing about this movie that made sense to me. The way it's shot, the way it's directed, the way it's cast, feels like it would be a comedy, but there are no jokes.
And the casting, I mean, that's why I wanted to see this. It stars Charlotte Gainsbourg, so of course I feel like I'm going to watch it. And Trine Dyrholm, who is always, usually quite excellent. And Alice Lowe shows up in here too. And of course, Rebel Wilson.
Okay, the basic story is there are two women, Rebel Wilson and Charlotte Gainsbourg. It's modern day in the UK. Mm-hmm. And each of these women, their significant others, have memory disorders related to a traumatic brain injury. So Rebel Wilson's husband had like a benign brain tumor that was removed and in the process affected his memory.
Played by Celyn Jones.
And Charlotte Gainsbourg's partner, she's a lesbian. She was in a car accident, I believe. And that's what affected her memory.
15 years prior, and was also pregnant.
Okay, so we basically see them like struggle with their significant other's memory loss. Then they go to a doctor played by...
Dr. Fulmer, played by Meera Syal.
Who does like work on memory. And we realize that both of their conditions are becoming progressively worse and will ultimately need to stay in a group home. For Rebel Wilson's character, her husband is mean to her and wants a baby, and she keeps pretending like that's a good idea to have a baby with him, which she ultimately does. And then Charlotte Gainsbourg's character, I think their storyline made more sense, which is like her partner doesn't remember her, and so like meeting her consistently, she's like, I don't like you, I don't love you, I don't want to be with you. So one day, Rebel and Charlotte, who are both going to the same memory clinic, they meet and they hook up. Mm-hmm. They have like a one-night stand. Mm-hmm. And then the way it's shot, I can't tell how long they've been seeing each other. It seems like maybe they went on 2 dates, but the way they're acting is like they've been in a long-term relationship.
Well, we get like this syrupy, sun-dappled sunset montage that suggests that weeks have passed.
And they decide that they no longer want to see each other. So we fast forward 5 years and we see that their significant others are still in this like memory group home, and they're visiting, and the significant others don't remember their partners.
There's a musical performance.
And Rebel and Charlotte sort of have like a cordial interaction, implying that they did break up, but it's okay. The end. Man, I'm just going to go through my notes. The doctor...
Okay, Meera Syal, who is recently in Danny Boyle's Yesterday, which I have not seen, and has had a kind of a long career. This lady was giving me... She was acting like she was a wizard in Harry Potter.
Terrible at her job. Just unprofessional. We meet her giving a tour to random students that her receptionist in a wheelchair organized, and the doctor's being rude about it while she's smoking a cigarette. Every beat is like it's a comedy. I had said earlier that it feels like a comedy writer was hired to punch up the script, and then they couldn't pay them, so the writer repossessed their jokes, and they filmed it anyway.
Notably, this is based on a play by Kaite O'Reilly, who I think co-wrote the script, maybe. Yes, it feels very much like a comedy, which is partly to blame for the score by Gruff Reese.
Oh my gosh.
The score is pretty.
It's so odd.
It's pretty odd and jarring, but it also feels like it's a mixture of a comedy and today on the BBC, lesbians and brain trauma.
It feels like one of those SNL pre-recorded skits about like a TV show or like some like sappy commercial. That's what this movie feels like. Again, there are no jokes. So the Rebel's husband, he goes out one day and bought donuts and then randomly walks up to this black lady and her small child and gives the kid a donut. And of course the mom is like, the hell are you doing, stranger, giving my child food? So she's kind of arguing with him like, get away from us, but he won't. And then Rebel shows up and starts arguing with the lady. I just didn't understand what that was supposed to do.
It is a frustrating scene because it's just like, you've dealt with this presumably for some time.
Right.
What is the shorthand to tell strangers that don't understand? My
Right.
husband has a brain injury. His behavior, it won't make sense to you. I'm sorry. Much like with Charlotte Gainsbourg showing up to check into this effing clinic with this receptionist who might as well be working at Starbucks or Walmart. And
Because she's just rude as hell.
because she's like, oh, I don't see your point, because Gainsbourg talked directly to the doctor and apparently she didn't communicate that. But where is the level of communication? Nothing makes sense. You're at a memory clinic and the people that are coming in are mixed up about their appointment potentially.
Right.
What is the way that you act about that? Not
But
that way.
every character is acting, even the doctor, the way she's described when she tries to explain to Rebel's character that her husband's condition is accelerating and becoming progressively worse, the way she handles that interaction is like, is this your first time working with a loved one? Just everyone's not acting like this is something they've been dealing with. So the name of the film
Yes.
refers to parts of the brain, the amygdala and the hippocampus, which are actually shaped like an almond and a seahorse. I thought the name was interesting.
I don't mind the title. It gets your attention, but it doesn't back
There's a
that
scene
up.
when Charlotte's character has clearly decided like, I need to separate from my partner, and so there's a moment when she goes out to like a nightclub, and that scene was super weird because she goes to the nightclub and for some reason there needed to be a moment where she bumps into a group of younger people and snaps at them, which was so awkward. Then she walks into the club, there's this person singing, which that was awkward, and then she's like dancing, which I guess is supposed to signify her newfound independence.
Just letting live, let love, or whatever.
There were also random shots of like sand at the beach with water running through it.
Yeah, I think that was supposed to be a visual metaphor for like the brain eroding, or how just things shift over time.
So Charlotte's playing this character like she's bored. Rebel's playing it like she plays every movie. I mean, she seems the same to me. Then the lady playing Charlotte's partner,
Trine Dyrholm.
she's playing it like
Method.
like, oh, people with memory disorders have no personality. Like they're just flat because they forgot how to be interesting.
Until they're triggered.
And then there's a moment where Rebel's in the bathroom crying after the doctor tells her like shit is getting worse, and then the blonde
Gwen, Trine Dyrholm.
is in the stall next to her, and she's trying to give her like encouraging words. That was so crunchy.
It's awkward. It's at the level of something like Collateral Beauty. I don't know if you saw that with
No.
Will Smith and Kate Winslet and Helen Mirren, another terrible David Frankel film. Again, as I already said, this is an emotional void of a film, so nothing feels authentic.
I don't know how you messed this up, because inherently, like a loved one fading away,
And
or like their minds fading away. That is so easy to pull at someone's heartstrings, but there's no emotion here.
we have a ton of great examples of that. We have Sarah Polley's Away From Her with Julie Christie. We have, this is more of a square film, but Julianne Moore's Oscar-winning performance in Still Alice. And we even have lesbians and memory loss with Two of Us starring Barbara Sukawa.
There's a moment when Rebel, I believe it's her in-law, like her husband's sister maybe.
That's Alice Lowe from Ben Wheatley's Sightseers.
She goes to her to confide in her earlier on in the film, and then she goes back again at the end and says like, yeah, I've been seeing someone, a woman. And the in-law's reaction is like, yeah, you're just checking something off your bucket list. We all do it. Like, what? Your sister-in-law just told you that she's probably going to leave your brother who's in a group home because she's a lesbian. And her reaction was just like, it's just a phase. just every opportunity to have something that sticks and makes you feel something is just thrown out the window.
And then everybody has like the tick everyone has is smoking, except for Charlotte Gainsbourg, who's the only one that talks about the detrimental effects of it. But even the Dr. Falmer, who puts a glove over the smoke detector in her office so she can smoke, is, that's not good for your brain.
We just watched something where there was a lot of smoking. Was that Babylon?
Maybe.
I don't know, but there's a lot of smoking in this movie, which is funny. But yeah, you told me it was based on a play. There are moments that do feel like it'd be a play. I don't know how much the screenplay was adapted from the play, but just so many odd choices. This casting, I didn't feel anything.
Well, there's no chemistry between
between anyone.
Rebel Wilson, when they hook up the next morning, and Rebel Wilson's, her name's Sarah, is acting all weird about it, and she has some verbose line about asking for a
her
towel.
bath towel, yeah.
She's like, yeah, an oblong piece of fabric that
absorbent,
blah, 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 blah. And Charlotte Gainsbourg says something. This is an example of how it just doesn't work. Says, oh, could you take a breath? But the line wasn't said in a way that suggested she needed to take one.
I'm still confused about this movie, but yeah, I'm sorry. I cannot recommend this. What would you give it?
One.
I would give it 1 out of 5. Do you have anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.